welcome to the Pathifist podcast. My name is Andi, also known as Wendigo Bunny, and I am here with my co-host, Jenny. Hi, Jenny. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm also known as Hermia Mora, and I'm doing great.
Awesome. And we're here to discuss the season finale of The Path on Hulu, The Miracle, episode 10. And we had all of, or most of, our loose ends tied up in this episode, but a lot of other questions raised. So we're going to just kind of discuss what we thought about this episode. I've seen it several times now and had a chance to absorb it. I think you've seen it a few times too. As I covered in my previous podcast, the first time I saw this was in Hollywood with the cast, which was an extremely special experience. But I didn't get to absorb most of it because I was too excited about being there with everyone. So my subsequent viewings have afforded me the chance to soak it in a little bit better. What were your thoughts, Jenny, just in general overall?
Well, I thought it tied in very nicely to what we were talking about at the very beginning. And we're talking about, maybe even that pre-episode that we did.
Yeah.
Based on the trailer, where we were saying maybe there is something kind of supernatural going on because Eddie's vision is true.
Yeah.
And it's very specifically true that he sees the room exactly as as it looks in real life. So what an odd thing for him to just see without any kind of hint. So we were wondering, is there possibly a supernatural element in the show? And I think that was...
Yeah, I think one of the big questions we've had is Meyerism actually real? Is the latter real? One of the things that the FBI found on Jason Kemp's body was they found actual burns on his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And Felicia has actual burn scars on her hands from the ladder. So there are supernatural elements to this that have translated into real life. Sarah brought a child back from the dead. Twice.
Yeah, her own
child and... Nicole's baby, exactly. And then, Eddie is having these visions, which he, at the end of the episode, goes to Peru, discovers that they're real.
Yes.
He sees Silas's familiar, his falcon, dead on the floor. The animals in his room are all dead. He's seeing the serpent that he's seen on Steve in his visions with Steve. He's seeing, in his room on him. And then, of course, we have that final scene with Steve himself. So there are supernatural elements to this show that are leading us to believe that Meyerism might actually be real.
Yeah.
It's definitely more than I think I was expecting when we were coming into this, because they did sort of frame it as, it's a show about a cult, about a spiritual movement, which leads one to believe, especially skeptics or people that don't, atheists, that perhaps this is all just a bunch of hogwash. But
yeah, and I did not think that they were going to be so clear about it, because I thought, well, maybe they might put in these little suggestions that make people think, there might be some kind of magical realism. But in that final episode, it seemed to go beyond just little hints, and that appears to be what might be the plot of season 2. That Ed has to come to terms with realizing he has some kind of special ability.
I think what they're pretty much hinting at fairly blatantly is that Eddie might be the chosen one, the real chosen one.
Yes.
Because when Steve looks at him and smiles there at the end, which could be actually Steve, could be a vision. We don't really know for sure. But I think that's kind of clear what he's telling him. You know what I mean? So that could create a schism in the movement. It could create a split.
Right.
If depending on how Eddie chooses to react to that.
Right. If Sarah also has healing power. They're like twin superheroes. I mean, I know that's
Yeah.
very trite, but yeah, they both have
Imagine
these
if they
complementary
yeah.
powers. They make like the perfect married couple to lead this movement. Because he has his prophecies and she has her healing. It's actually pretty ideal for something like this.
The power
But
struggle that comes up after that, if Eddie does decide to accept that mantle, is going to be pretty epic. And
yeah,
especially now that the dynamic has changed between Sarah and Cal, which I think is so cool. I really am enjoying that. I enjoyed their interchange at the end a
where
lot.
she's just like, I'm gonna keep your secrets, but I'm not gonna like it. Kind of giving them the
Well, I think that she's weighing her options. I think that
sure.
because she still doesn't exactly know what happened with Silas,
Mm-hmm.
but I think she's trying to weigh what she's going to do because she does know that Cal has a measure of influence over the people. But yeah, I kind of like that there's a bit of a power shift between them now that she kind of has something on him and he's like, what are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
So she's definitely the blinds have been lifted, the blinders have been
Scales have
lifted.
fallen from
Thank
my
you.
eyes.
That's what I was trying to say. Which when she said, when she poured the whiskey for him and then toasted to the truth in at the episode at the airing of this show, I shouted out in all its consequences. Yeah, so
I bet the non-fanables in the crowd were
they
like,
were like, "What the hell
"What?
is she?" Yeah,
What?"
I did get a few looks when I said that. So yeah,
One thing that was kind of confusing me is in their the prophecy that they're experiencing. Eddie sees all these animals, and Sarah keeps seeing a snow owl.
yes.
But Cal sees the snow owl too. Does that mean that Cal has any kind of ability at all?
I think the snow, yeah, I think he might, but I think that the snow owl is Steve. I think
Oh,
that's Steve's familiar animal representation of Steve, but that's just my theory. There's no
okay.
explanation for that, but I feel like it's Steve.
Well, I looked up what snow owls symbolize, and some things that came up were that it's a symbol of prophecy. It's a prophetic animal, and it also symbolizes secrets.
Yes.
And mysterious knowledge. So it could mean different things for Sarah. She sees it and she's trying to figure out secrets, and Cal sees it when he's trying to hide all his secrets. So it's a different effect. Like I said before, Cal is seeing the snow owl. I mean,
Yeah.
people don't generally go around seeing snow owls. When Sarah told Felicia she's seeing a snow owl, Felicia looked surprised. So that's not something that all Meyerists see. That does seem to indicate a type of prophetic ability. Now, that's the only hint that I've seen of Cal having any kind of ability. So that could just be a one-off situation. But it would be interesting if we had like a trio of people who have some kind of power. They're all different powers, and they all get out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be a little too over the top. But
yeah, but and then they're fighting for. They're all three of them are fighting for control. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Could be. And like I said, I think a lot of this depends on what Eddie's reaction is too. Is he going to have an Allison reaction where he suddenly falls into line and decides that he does believe in this stuff and he wants in? Or is he going to completely reject it and freak out and just, I mean...
His own movement.
Yeah, or start his own movement, exactly.
One thing that I thought was really interesting, when Cal basically makes it so that Eddie gets kicked out. because he exposes Eddie's lack of belief to Sarah, and that leads to him having to be labeled a denier and get kicked out.
Yeah.
So that would appear, it might seem that he doesn't want Eddie to be in the movement anymore, that he wants him gone. But immediately after that, he changes the rules of Meyerism. He changes the rules that a denier actually can be brought back in.
Yeah.
Which basically breaks down his ability to
keep him out, right?
To keep Eddie out.
Yeah.
You know, so I was wondering, what's the purpose of that?
Well, he might not have been thinking of Eddie at all.
Right, but what was the purpose of him inviting, for him deciding that I'm going to change this rule? You know, it seemed like, why does he need Allison? Is he just being kind? Is he just leading the movement the way he thinks it should be?
Yeah, I mean, there was that crazy article that I sent you with that person with the really truly off-the-wall theory that Allison is blackmailing Cal, which I think is crazy.
So.
I think has no. I mean, all throughout the season, people have been trying to assign, I think, bad intentions to Cal and all of his motives. It could just be that he really genuinely
wants to help out.
Wants to help her. I mean, he walks in that room, and it's kind of interesting the way they frame the shot. Is normally every time he's going to approach someone to talk to them, they make quite the show of showing him walk up to the room and posturing himself and straightening his shoulders and all that whole business. This just focused on his feet walking to the door. Just his feet walking to the door, and he simply walks in the room, and he looks at her. He's like, "Are you hungry?"
Yeah, but the whole time they're playing this incredibly ominous soundtrack. Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, what's ominous about "Are you hungry?" And then later, you know, he's just like, "Hey, we're going to change the rules that Steve put into place that I don't personally agree with." And there are many times that he changes the rules that Steve put into place because he wants the movement to go in a different direction. And, you know, I could be cynical. I think most people who are watching this are being very cynical of Cal. But I honestly think in a lot of these situations, he really is just trying to do what he thinks is right.
Yeah. I found that scene to be very touching and inspiring.
The one where he tells her, he quotes Jesus, which was very unusual.
Another prophet of the light.
So, yeah, I thought it was interesting that he quotes Jesus as being a prophet of the light, another prophet of the light. And that is very interesting because previously Meyerism was very isolationist. And anybody who's not Meyerist is just non-Meyerist, you know? And it's sort of pushing out any other wisdom from other spiritualities, but Cal is incorporating, he's saying that Jesus was sort of like a minor prophet. You know, Jesus has wisdom. Plato has wisdom.
Yes.
That we can incorporate into our understanding of the world, and that is rather revolutionary. And I remember hearing from Hugh Dancy, plays Cal, that the thing that really boosts a religion's status from just a cult to a acceptable worldwide religion is somebody who can bring people together and take it to the next step. And I think part of that in many different religions that I've looked at is this synthesis. You know, achieving kind of a synthetic belief system of, for example, Christianity incorporating certain aspects of paganism, you know, which is pretty well known with the different holidays and you know, the saints and the patron saints and things like that. They are incorporating other forms of wisdom. And you have Islam, which has incorporated aspects of Judaism and Christianity, and he even considers Jesus to be a minor prophet. And a Buddha, one of the Buddhas, or many Buddhas, once said very positive things about Jesus as being a wise figure. And I think his effort to do that is the step forward, is one of the many steps forward that he can take to be that figure for Meyerism.
Yeah. I don't think we necessarily know if Stephen Meyer himself was an isolationist with regards to isolating Meyerism from other elements of other religions from Meyerism.
Yeah. Because he's been unconscious through the entire season, we don't really know.
And we only have excerpts of the latter to really refer to as yeah.
It could be things that he actually said, or it could be things that were misinterpreted by Bill, Felicia, and all of them.
Yeah.
So what Dr. Meyer actually believed and what he is quoted as believing could be two separate things. And we see that in all sorts of religions as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if Eddie is the chosen one, then that makes Cal the not chosen one, possibly. And hopefully we'll hear in season 2 whether or not Cal has any place in this movement at all at this point. But if he doesn't, let us hypothetically say that he doesn't have a place in the religion and that he is the thing that needs to be taken away. Perhaps that he represents a movement of religion towards something it's not supposed to be. Then what does that say from a thematic standpoint about the things that he does, which is evangelizing in a much broader way, in a much more effective way, opening up the walls for deniers to come back in and retake their vows, going on TV, further developing their financial strength, things like that are very modern and had previously been shrugged off by Meyer, or actually forbidden in Meyerism. What did those things represent?
They were frowned upon because they didn't want to draw attention to their movement. Yeah.
Another thing that goes on is that Eddie goes to his parents-in-law to try to get their help, and they're just awful. I feel like for a moment there, his father-in-law, Hank wants to help. He's just like, he's our son-in-law, he seems really upset, while the mother, Gab, is just, she just shuts down. She's just like, no, goodbye. And it's a horrible, horrible thing. And Eddie says, there's got to be some fucking room for doubt. And they don't accept that.
Yeah.
It's, so I think if Eddie does represent what Meyerism approves of, what Dr. Meyer would approve of, it's that room for doubt. Like you're allowed to have a personal experience, and it seems to encourage the concept of the personal journey, that walk, that struggle, rather than a more commercial aspect of religion. So, yeah. Also, another thing is Gab says, people who lack conviction, cowards. And then Eddie looks over at Hank at the word coward, and he kind of gives him this look, and Hank just lowers his head, all demure, like, you're the coward. you know?
Yeah, I feel like any faith or any religion that is worth its salt should would be able to, or belief system should be able to stand up to questioning. I mean, that only, to me,
Yeah.
that only makes sense.
Right. Right. And Eddie and Cal deal with their lack of faith, their doubts, in very different ways.
Yeah.
What do you think about Sarah's faith? Do you think she has any possible lack of faith there, any doubt?
I definitely think she does, especially with what's happening with Eddie.
Why is that? What do you mean?
Because I think that she has a lot of love for him, and I think that she probably didn't have a lot of challenges to her faith up until this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now that she sees that the love of her life is going through this struggle and knows how much he loves her and her family and her children. I mean, she knows how devoted he is to them, and that this is the hardest, most heartbreaking experience he's ever endured, leaving them. That's why she's so upset. I think that is causing her to maybe have her own questions, and that she's never had these questions before.
Yeah. I mean,
Go ahead.
maybe the reason she reacts so harshly to him, like, I need to cut you out now, like some kind of tumor, is because she realized that it could take root. You know, there's some sort of insecurity there where all it takes is that little crack, and suddenly everything spreads and falls apart.
Well, to add to that, now that she's finding these things out about Cal, I think that that is really gonna mess with her head and with her beliefs. Because Cal, she's looked up to him. I mean, I think she really does look up to him. Am I wrong? I mean, this entire time, I think she has.
Yeah, I think she admired him quite a lot.
But now that there's so many cracks, now that she's finding all these things out and all these doubts, and now that she finds out that she's found out that he's written the wrongs himself and that he's drinking and that she doesn't know what's happened to Silas, but she knows he's involved, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think now things are really hitting the fan for her.
Yeah.
And her whole world, as far as what she previously, any illusions that she had about Cal before, are completely shattered. Clearly.
Yeah. I was a little, I don't know if I was irritated or just like, what? But when Eddie tells Sarah, you don't really believe that. You don't really believe in this religion. And I don't know if that's because he has sensed doubt in her or if he's being unfair. Because if he doesn't believe in the religion, no one can. You know? I mean, I have family members who are Christian, and I wouldn't go up to them and be like, you don't really believe in Jesus. Because I know they do. So is that really fair of him to tell her that?
I think he was angry and lashing out a bit.
Mm.
I also think, yeah, that was a very unfair statement of him to make to her, but at the same time, I kind of understand where he's coming from, and I think he was trying to level with her for a minute and just be like, just try to really search your heart for a second and ask yourself, do you actually really believe this? Or are you just trying to make someone happy? Or are you just trying to fill a hole? You know,
Yeah.
in your heart of hearts, do you really, 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 really believe this?
Yeah.
Which isn't a fair question. I understand it's not a fair question to ask of somebody that has a deep faith, because, yeah, there's such a thing as people that actually have faith and actually do believe.
Yeah, and it wasn't a question, it was a statement. You don't believe this.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even trust that she was capable of making that decision for herself. But now that all this weird stuff is happening, he's going to have to, it's the opposite of what you would expect. You would expect someone to go into a drama about religion and then lose their faith. Because
that's
like when people write about religion, it's from a standpoint of a more secular person.
Yeah. That's what I kind of really like about what Jessica has done with this, because it's the opposite of what you would expect from the entire package. You really went into this thinking the way they packaged it is a show about a cult, or so you expect it's going to be a show about a cult, but it's really more about a show about people with their faith being challenged, and oh hey, there might be actual supernatural elements to this that are real, and holy shit, Myerism might actually be real.
Yeah.
There might really be a ladder.
And it's a more effective way of dealing with the issues of faith. Because if you're going into a made-up religion, immediately people are going to be viewing it with this idea, oh, this is fake. And they're examining all the actions and the statements of all the characters through the lens of they believe in bullshit.
It's a skeptic, yeah.
Yeah. And that's not helpful when talking about religion, especially when you're talking about someone who, say, for example, is Christian, talking about religion. They're going to be seeing it differently because they believe in that religion.
Yeah.
Because to them, Jesus Christ is true. Jesus Christ is the way. And all these things are true to them. So they're not going to be viewing their own religion through that lens. So if in this story, Myerism is true, it is real, then we can examine the characters in a completely different way than we were previously. And that's more interesting.
We're, discussing this show and the religious elements of this, and it is so captivating and so, it's really just, there's so much richness and depth to it and so much to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And they've really made it so accessible, I think, to such a broad variety of, I think, people from different belief systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and having it be a made-up religion and then showing it to be true, even though it doesn't exist in our worlds, it really helps the viewer kind of get a better idea of how these characters see the world.
Yeah.
So we're not blinded by skepticism.
Right.
If it's first we get to see them through the lens of it's probably not real.
Right.
And next season it is real. So we get to have those two different experiences.
Exactly.
Which I think is a really cool idea, and I enjoy it.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and we got to see a little bit of Richard in the finale.
Yes.
And he gets to talk to Allison. And Allison talks about the ladder, and he has this look on his face like, wait a second. His mind is not so completely shut off that he thinks, a denier isn't capable of experiencing a spiritual
epiphany.
Yeah. So he hears her talk about the ladder, and then later when he's talking to another denier, Eddie,
yes,
tells him about all his visions, and his response.
Did you see the ladder?
Yes, his response is, "Did you see the ladder?" Because he's starting to put things together, and I appreciate that. That he's not his.
Well, he's
role,
only 7R.
Yeah.
As Sarah very
yes.
Very
Sarah,
sternly informs him.
7R.
Last time I checked, you're 7R.
Yeah, but yeah, I like that.
I just want so badly to know more about what the ladder is.
Yeah.
Because obviously it is something physical.
Yeah. You can touch it and burn your hands, or you can actually climb it. It's so bizarre. And it says, I've heard some people complain that the religion is too vague. Like they didn't go into the lore. And I kind of have to disagree with
No, I
that. I don't
think
think
that
it's
it's good
useful.
that they didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's very useful to go into the lore, um, since it's not really about that.
Yeah,
No, it's about um, the faith. It's just faith.
right.
It's it's sort of thematic MacGuffin. You don't really need to know the details because all that's going to do is distract you.
Mhm.
I think one of the big problems with a lot of people coming in to watch this show is that they brought in this laden backpack full of preconceptions.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, trying to turn that on its head in the finale is a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I get irritated sometimes with the kind of tunnel vision people have when I'm reading some of the reviews and stuff about the show, and
Yeah.
people are just, yeah, it's
Well,
like,
what is the nefarious motivation of this character? Well, maybe he's just sincere. Have you thought about that? I don't know. It's irritating. Yeah. They placed they placed different plot points. They placed different characters in these little boxes, and
yeah.
I think Jessica's got her work cut out for her to try and shake off those boxes. It's
Well, I think that's the thing, is that I think she's done such a good job, and I think that
yeah.
the onus is on the audience that they're not paying enough attention if they think that these people are fitting into these little boxes. That's why I feel like so frustrated when I'm reading these reviews, because I'm like, are you even watching the same show I'm watching? Because I'm not seeing these people fitting into these categories that you want to put them in.
hmm Yeah, I mean, people have seen so many depictions of this is what a cult is like, and this is what a cult leader is like. These are his motivations.
Yeah,
This is what someone losing their faith is like, and these are his motivations. And
yeah,
they do that instead of just watching what's happening on screen.
right.
And yeah, it really is irritating. Maybe I should not read so many articles and reviews.
No, I read them too. I read them too, and they just make me angry. But it's
Yeah.
all right.
hmm
It just encourages me to get to talk to more people and get the word out more about what it really is about.
hmm
So, what did you think about the look on Hawk's face when at the end when Cal was talking with Sarah on stage about how Steve wanted the two of them to lead the movement? Did you see any foreshadowing in his little expression? You think he's upset a little bit about the
I think
situation
so.
his dad is in, and that Cal
Yeah,
is all of a sudden like,
yeah, you're not my real dad kind of situation. Yeah. Um,
I don't
I
know, I think
think
there's a little trouble brewing there.
I don't think Hawk has any problem with Cal
No.
personally. He doesn't have reason to have a problem with Cal personally. But just seeing his mom standing up there with another man side by side, in sort of a marriage type situation, leading a family, it had to be.
Well, especially with dealing with the stress of his father being gone,
Yeah, it
and
had,
then
it had to
having to
be.
try to comfort his sister, and his poor sister's falling apart.
Yeah, the invisible ink, which
Yeah.
was a really touching moment with her writing all over the walls. Um, yeah, I wonder if in season 2 Hawk's gonna start catching on to Cal, and some of the things that he's done and some of the things he's planning with his mom.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Hawk is really sharp, and
he's pretty sharp, yeah.
yeah.
Oh boy. I read an article saying that Eddie's gonna have a new love interest next season.
What?
Yeah, did you not see that?
No, I didn't see that. Really?
Yeah, just like, what does that mean?
What?
Does that mean he's gonna give up on Sarah?
That's weird.
That is weird. I would have thought that the entire second season would have been him trying to get his wife back.
That is very strange. And who would it be? Is it Allison?
I can't imagine it being Allison, especially since Allison's back in the movement now. I'd be surprised.
That's odd.
What? Maybe it's Cal.
Yeah, right.
That's my no TP. I don't ship that. But yeah, really, I've heard so many interpretations, and I try to kind of follow each line of thought, each line of logic to its conclusion as much as possible, and then determine at that point whether or not I think it's worthwhile. But one that I've heard is that basically this isn't so much about religion as it is about divorce. It's about the process of a marriage falling apart and a family falling apart.
Okay.
And the whole cult thing and the whole religion thing is just a backdrop. And I think that is an interesting interpretation. I mean, of course, it could be about multiple things at once.
I think that's interesting, but a very elaborate way of going about it. But
yeah. I mean, with the cult demanding that she throw this person out of her life and not let him see his kids and all that. That is kind of similar to the way divorce works. And when Summer starts asking questions about, well, are you going to be in the garden?
Yeah.
Are you in the light? Daddy's not in the light anymore. All this, it really reminds me of kids asking questions about divorce. Where's Daddy going to be on holidays? It's kind of these awkward questions of where do we go from here now that my family has fallen apart.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty well illustrated with the concept of cult.
Yeah, I thought it was really unnecessarily cruel, the scene where they wouldn't let him see Summer and give her the gift. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, and the two guys.
They're just treating him like he's a leper.
Yeah, Hank and
the
Nicole's
brother-in-law,
husband.
yeah.
It's like, time to go. Time to go, Eddie. Like, you know what?
Like, what in the... Like, he's some kind of pariah.
Yeah.
It's his kids.
Like he's a troublemaker, even though he's not really. It's frustrating.
So do you think that Cal and Mary are going to continue to be an item in season 2?
I suppose. I don't know how much further that can go.
Oh, I could think it can go quite a bit further. This is the perfect arrangement. She's married now.
No, I mean further as far as a story goes. I mean, so now they're getting.
Oh, I don't think there's any story there.
There's no more story. They're just fooling around.
But it's convenient because now she's married, so.
Yeah. But, Cal appears to be in love with Sarah.
Well, she's clearly shut that down, and I don't think there's any possibility of that happening now that she knows everything, or most of everything.
Well, he continued to be in love with her after she was married, so he'll probably carry that torch for her indefinitely.
Oh, I'm sure he will, but I don't think she's going to be reciprocating, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, she keeps breaking down and kissing him.
Yeah, but that was before she found out everything.
That's true.
I think, like I said, I think all her illusions have been shattered now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his
And
great.
I think that she really might have. I don't know. I don't. I think she really hurt him pretty badly when she told him that's like
Keep it professional.
keep it
He's just like,
professional. No, no, not for now. Forever.
oh yeah, he's just like, you came to me. Yeah, that was pretty tough. So, any last thoughts?
Um.
Predictions?
Well, Aaron said the first 3 episodes of next season are insane.
Ooh,
That they just basically hit the ground running and at a breakneck pace and don't stop.
good.
So
Good.
that ought to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Do you know when it's supposed to air? I know they're already starting to film.
Yeah, they start filming on the 8th. June 8th
Yeah.
is when they start. They've already started their wardrobe fittings. And I believe it's going to air again in April because I think there's supposed to be a opening, what do you call it, season premiere um, event in April of next year. So I think April of next year is when it's going to be premiere, or maybe the end of March, like it did this year. I think this year was March 31st, wasn't it? The season premiere?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, I think, I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel like, I really want to say I think Steve is alive, and I think that he is not a vision to Eddie, and that he's actually gonna come back and kind of, like, shock everyone's pants off, basically.
Yeah. And after seeing Cal talking to him while he's unconscious and saying, I just want to be a good son and all this stuff, I think it would be a little heartbreaking if Steve was just like, you fucked up, kid.
Yeah. I don't know what Steve is gonna say to Cal. That's a little frightening to me. And
Yeah.
I really want to believe in Steve and that he wouldn't hurt Cal.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we know nothing about him.
But I think Steve is better, and I think Steve is probably going to go back to New York and, like, just, like, be like, surprise, bitches, I'm back.
That you thought you'd see the last of
Yeah, exactly.
him.
Because that would be crazy. You know, the other option, of course, is that he is a vision and Eddie's just seeing him. So, yeah.
He could be back. Like, he could be literally walking around. But now he needs to transcend into a ball of light. So he talks to Eddie one last time before. Ball of lighting!
That's true, he could.
Mm.
And tells Eddie, you're the chosen one, bye. Okay, thanks, bye.
Nobody's gonna
believe him, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah. The thing about him going back to New York, though, is that he would totally discredit everything Cal said if he showed up on campus.
That's right.
It would just wipe everything out, because
I didn't write those rungs.
What happened to the Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Cal.
He would really, really be screwed, but I would be curious to see what he would have to, I mean, I would be dying to see what he would have to say to Cal.
Especially about Silas. Like,
I really feel like Silas betrayed Steve and everyone, though. I really feel like what Silas did to Cal was completely wrong. And, man, if Steve gives Cal shit about Silas, I'm going to be so disappointed. That's all I can say. Because I just, there is something wrong with Silas that I don't trust, with Bill and Felicia that I don't trust.
Well, even if Silas was not saying what Steve would have wanted him to say, I don't think Steve would have wanted him to get murdered.
And this thing about Steve or Cal murdering Silas being an impediment to his further being, effective in the movement. I mean, so yeah, I know that technically murder is obviously wrong, and that yes, that was bad for his. No, like that's bad for him to be getting away with that. Yes, but I also feel like it was. I mean, Well, I don't really necessarily feel that it was not justified what Cal did, and I feel like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he got away with it.
I think you've been watching Hannibal for so long. You're like, murder? Yeah, it must be Tuesday. Whatever. Everyone murders now and then. That is kind of a side effect of watching Hannibal for 3 seasons in a row. Now
He
it's
kind
like,
of had it coming. Come on. I mean,
people will say, this show has completely changed now that he's murdered someone. We're like,
not
no.
really.
He's irredeemable now. What? There's plenty of room for redemption arc. It's just murder.
The guy
Yeah,
was
Alana and
a
Margot
dick.
murdered a guy. Yeah, I mean, Bedelia murdered a guy. Will murdered guys. Hannibal murdered guys. Who
amongst us? Come on.
Who didn't murder a guy? Let's see. I mean, well, Chilton had a guy beaten and put in the hospital. That's not the same as murder, but it's pretty bad.
Margot and Alana did.
That's what I said. Margot and Alana killed Mason.
That guy had it coming. Come on.
Mason killed people. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
come on. Cal isn't that bad of a guy. Got people. Come on.
Silas was rude. The only crime.
What he did was unforgivable.
It was rude, and the only crime that Cal committed was burying his body instead of eating it, because it's waste. You have to eat every part, or else it's just murder.
He gave it back to the earth from whence it came.
I personally don't know that I would say Silas is like a villain. I'm not arguing because I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I really, really don't know. That's a loose end, but
yeah.
I just he could be the mouthpiece of Dr. Meyer, and maybe Dr. Meyer really did not like Cal. And
well, if that's the case, I'm rebelling against Meyerism, and I think that they should start Robertism.
What would Robertism be?
The perfect religion.
The perfect religion of murder and tea. Everyone gets tea.
Yes.
And hot showers.
Tea and hot showers. And a lot of unburdening.
Oh my god. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'll be honest. I would join the cult of Robertism, and I just wouldn't say anything bad. I would just keep my head down and never do anything that would end up with me a piece of pottery in the side of my neck.
Why would you? What would your motivation be? Oh my god!
I won't be insulting.
What kind of a jackass would ever be insulting to Cal and mean to him? Some people are the worst followers. I don't know.
I would be the best follower.
No, I would be the best follower.
I would bake cookies and pies. And I would always say yes when he invited me to tea.
That's very good. All right, well, we won't talk about what I would do. So that was a very good, it was a very good season. It was a spectacular season, and I'm very much looking forward to season 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you very much for spending this time with me, Jenny, and thank you all for joining us. And we should have some exciting little episodes in between while we wait for season 2, hopefully. So stay tuned for any further announcements, and we will see you all very soon. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.